The scene is set for Perth by night. Some of the various kindred are relaxing as the politicking, the mainstay of it has over the race for for prince is pretty much settled. Although there's always the possibility of a last minute turn of events, so to speak. But there's still politicking as each clan jostles to make sure it has its own needs and interests met. But Rafat has been contacted by the Archon and let him know, and he's just gone through security with a young Malkavian called Asher Rosh, who previously had residence in the city many years ago. And Asher is Rafat will come through. Please this way. You'll see the door is rather heavy looking. It would take if you blood buffed yourself up, you could get through it, but it's going to take you a bit of a while. Because if you blood buff yourself up high enough, you can get through pretty much anything. And he closed the door, locks it. He's like, gentlemen, this is Asherosh, a neonate of Clan Malkavian who's just presented himself to the Archon.
Welcome to Perth, noob.
Good evenings, sirs.
May I make the introductions? Antoine Laurent de Lavoisier, Primogen of Clan Tremere, and Elder of the clan. And then he gestures towards Eric Salvador, a Ancilla of Clan Toreador.
Now also Hand.
Oh, I did not know of the title Hand of Toreador. Marcus Creel, neonate of Clan Bruja, and Charles McGowan, fledgling of Clan Toreador.
Good evening to you all.
Please take a seat, and Rafat will go behind the counter here. He'll pour out a drink, since you've just come to the city. First one's on the house.
Thank you. That's much more than I could ever ask for.
Alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
For now, I need something with a little bit less edge to it. Non-alcoholic, please.
Of course. Rafat will pour out a drink and he'll put it in front of Ashrash. Please sit.
Ashrash will take the drink in hand. He won't even look at it, just take it in hand and proceed to walk over to the next table over. Set this drink down very, very politely, and he will actually take the scarf that is around his neck, and it's quite a long scarf, and just puts it behind himself on the chair. He just goes ahead and looks to the arranged kindred and say, "Hello. Nice to meet you."
Oh. Malkavian, huh?
Yes.
How's that working out for you?
It comes and goes.
Well, there's an Ancilla Malkavian. I don't know if they've gotten around to electing the new Primogen, but there's an Ancilla Malkavian called James Pierce, and there is another Malkavian I know of called Leon Harris. He is a coterie mate of mine.
Oh, is that true? Well, then I will make pains to make the acquaintance of both these individuals. James Pierce. Is that what you said? The Hand?
James Pierce, yes.
Okay. I'll have to make his acquaintance as well.
I have some contact numbers. If you leave me a number, I'll make sure they get to know.
Asher Roth will go ahead
or an email,
and
whatever.
Pen and paper. Go ahead and write the name of a number that's not his own, but one that usually gets in contact with him. Passes over to Rafat. If you could give them this number, if I do not meet them in time.
Very good, very good. I shall do so, and he'll put it away in his pocket. Not checking it just yet.
So, Mr. Roth, right? What brings you to this city?
I happen to be a Perth native before my embrace, and after doing a walkabout around the continent and being embraced into the Camarilla, I find myself back to my old haunting grounds. I would like to go ahead and set up shop back here. Try to get some of my old contacts and other housing arrangements done. I've heard that this is actually quite a bundling city, and it is currently growing in strength.
At this moment, Lavoisier nods understandingly. Doesn't really answer any yes or no, but neonate was correct.
So what's your business?
My business? My business happens to be within the media, if you want to believe it.
Well, useful type of thing to have around. What, do you interview
Yes,
people or edit film?
I actually would like to go ahead and reestablish the old tabloid within Perth. I forget the name at the moment. I will probably make up something new. It's always a good idea to rebrand material when you're taking over its management.
Sounds good to me.
It's an interesting asset to have, Mr. Asher. I'm sure that the Camarilla can have use of you.
Well, I am at the Camarilla's disposal. Whether you use me or you don't, I'd rather have a peaceful existence within the city, and I believe we all want a peaceful existence.
So was it the Anarch's arrival that forced you out in the first place?
Actually, yes, it was the Anarchs.
Out of character.
Kevin,
you lying?
yeah, Kevin, am I lying? Because I forget.
No, you actually were. You were actually. It was a few decades back, but it was really annoying for you. You had to up stakes because some of them took a disliking to you, and they knew you were Cammy, so none of them wanted to help you.
Well, yes,
Okay, I just wanted to make sure of that.
I would have made a roll if this wasn't already explained.
Yeah.
Then I will
He can
just
roll
go.
away. He is telling the truth. So if you botch your empty check, liar, kill him.
Okay, let's roll for it.
Actually, I usually am rolling, so might as well.
I'm gonna use my expression, a skill I rarely use. Charisma expression will be nice enough.
Down one, but one success.
Yep, so he's telling the truth.
All the successes.
He's a good Cammy.
Interesting indeed.
2 successes. Yes, yes.
4 successes.
That's a lot.
That guy's
all the
really
successes.
perceptive.
Which
But
equals
yeah,
12.
yeah. I'm just a harmless neonate. I'm just a harmless Malkavian neonate.
I get 10 successes.
Whip it out, why don't you?
You can see the pain and anguish that he hides in the back of his eyes. The horrors of, oh, they were so mean to me. You can almost hear the taunts that were said to him at your 10 successes. You know the pain he went through. There's a small part of you that wants to give him a hug.
Pretty much, let's go with that one.
Wow.
There are downsides to having high empathy.
Before you give him a hug, it's a very, very small.
And Austin, out of character, please describe your character. Like, how does he feel now?
He's got a narrator where he keeps asking people things.
Okay.
He keeps trying to figure out people.
Basically, physical description, he is actually wearing quite a large trench coat, as well as the long, whatchamacallit, scarf that he just had, which he has clearly deposited. And if you weren't sure that the security of the trench were as good as it was, you would swear he was hiding something under there. As for his mental and emotional state, he's perfectly harmless. He just wants to truly live in a very, very peaceful existence in this city.
Okay. After the Asheroth tell that he wants to just live in peaceful city, Charles looks to Exalder and just nods.
Well, we've got a lot of work to do before we get it to an acceptable standard.
We've made some gains. Obviously, the most were routed, but the problem is you never know when the next one will crawl out some hole somewhere when they wake up out of torpor. And then we might start gathering a few ghouls if we're not vigilant, so we always have to keep our eyes open.
Where were you planning on settling, Mr. Roth?
Where was I planning on settling? Yes. I would actually like to simply retake the domain that was I previously had to abandon. And if some other kindred within the city has already taken it, there's no harm, no foul there. It was empty and abandoned. I will simply look on to a new place.
Where were
Would
you?
you suggest one place?
I could
Oh, nice.
suggest a few places, but I want to make sure you contact your Primogen first before I make any suggestions.
I'm interested to hear where your domain was.
My domain. It was actually across the river, but across the river is no longer an acceptable domain for Perth. It seems like some of the elders of this grand organization has called that off limits, which, fair enough.
It's all about keep and hold. Secure this area and then start expanding.
This is where the Baron and his inner circle were. There's a few lesser kindred, but anyone of real significance stays around this area. It's the, well, I suppose it's the high property value area. If you want to be respected, it's the area you try and get a domain in.
Fair enough. I've actually heard that the city has quite a number of coteries to itself.
Yes. There is the Lion's Mane, which is you're in the domain of currently. Myself and a few others are members. And then there
Go
are...
on, sell yourself. Tell them what the fantastic things you accomplished.
We can't have all of the neonates in the city into one coterie. That just means that, well, we're a burgeoning mini sect at that stage, and I don't think that will work out particularly well for us. However, there are other fine coteries. The Trundling Wombats have... well, remember, many of these were war coteries, so you'll find a lot of combat capable people.
Well,
However,
Trundling Wombats do have other Perth local.
They do have some other fine
You might know
individuals.
some of them.
Indeed, I do. But I can give the whole roster list out at some future point. Or in fact, we'll just look at a camera, of course, until press a button. And then there are the enforcers, although they've been very insular of late. You don't really worry about them. And I'm sure that with all the influx of new blood, we'll have a few new coteries forming.
Unfortunately, their previous most outspoken member kind of lost his head.
Ooh, that's no good.
An unfortunate turn of events for Fats moving towards the door. He slides it back using auspex, checking for obfuscation, etc. And then he slides it back and he opens the door. Stoneheart. And he allows him. This is Stoneheart, another member of the coterie. And oh, this is
Yes, this is my ghoul. He will be sitting in that room, as is the rules.
very well.
Make an exception for some of them. We could do with the entertainment.
We can make sure he doesn't remember anything, but it is your ghoul. If you want to leave him in the playroom, although Rafat does look in, it's rather empty at the moment.
Mr.
There's
Taylor, I would
Salvador's 2 ghouls in there, and that's it.
Mr. Taylor, no, it's not. Mr. Taylor, if you take responsibility for your ghoul, he can sit amongst us if he so prefer.
If that is your wish, he can sit in a corner.
Well, but when we're done, we'll make sure he doesn't remember any specifics. You just kind of rough at someone. Don't worry, we won't. You'll remember everything except for coming inside, and then you'll remember later on at appropriate moments. Well, come on in. What's your name, good man?
He doesn't speak. He will not speak unless he lets to Stoneheart. He will not speak at this current moment.
Please answer Rafat. He is one of my dear friends. Because he gives, like, the smallest hint of a grin.
I'm Walker Keel. Nice to meet you, sir.
Oh, well, please sit and I do believe just one moment. Rafat goes into the. Actually, no, he won't bother going in there. He's like, come on in, come on in. I do think we have one or two things inside. Rafat will wonder, is he driving for you, Taylor?
No, he is not.
Very
My
good.
driver is, as always, outside.
Good. Then Rafat will get out an actual. He has to actually go down to the back of the fridge. Yes, here we go. We have, and he just takes out a beer. That's clearly been in the back of that fridge for some time. And he's like, here, and as well, where is it? The food. And he's like, rustles through a drawer. Jerky. We're not a normal bar. Live with it.
You can actually hear the Antoine Laurent de Lavoisier snickering behind. He's enjoying the degradation of ghouls.
But don't worry, my good man. I was once where you stand now. Remain loyal and true to your Domitor, and perhaps someday you will be rewarded.
Hey, how long were you loyal and true?
Couple of decades.
Ah, not bad, actually.
Yeah. It was actually quite fun times, really. Had to do a lot of running around ruins, getting shot at by customs officials. Fun times.
I had the feeling that I might have been in a similar position to you, but I was kind of a commodity at the time.
But,
Well, welcome to our little establishment, Mr. Taylor. How have your days been faring so far?
Everything has been going as it should, I do believe.
I have one little question before we allow ourselves to dive back in the social conversation and asking Mr. Asher how he's doing. My question to you, Mr. Taylor, has the Bruja decided on who their primogen will be?
Yes, we have discussed it.
Is it to me to congratulate you?
Or,
What was that? I didn't quite understand what.
sorry,
you should
I was
just-
making a very sarcastic, or is it a congratulations, or is it, budums?
It will be congratulations for now.
Good stuff.
Very good.
Well, I mean, it looks like Creed's got all his body parts attached, so it must have been a fairly organized meeting.
well, I suppose Bruges have their secrets, as all clans do. I suppose we'll have to respect them. They're being very tight-lipped. I'm sure they'll loosen up as the night goes on. I hope. You always bring the best conversation.
Right. I believe the last topic that we had before we introduced new guests was coteries. Were they all the coteries?
Yeah,
The enforcers were the last one to be kicked off.
Those are the ones that I have been. As I said, there are likely going to be a few new ones formed. There's newer members, and there's getting into there's getting into existing coteries. It has benefits, but I think there's a few who will be more than likely want to make their own mark. There's advantages and disadvantages to both.
Well, Mr. Dilto, you might add the gentleman you sent. The Nosferatu gentleman, I believe, had a chat with you.
Mr. Hannibal.
And myself on that list of possible coteries. Well, coteries existing. I think.
I'm glad to see he took my advice to heart. I did send him your way.
When Marcus is talking, Lavoisier looks at him, looks a bit estranged as he notices that he's still got permanent fangs, which is kind of a... well, it's not common.
But we found we had mutual tendencies.
Well, like I said, anyway, in the moment we have coteries, but most coteries are there because of the war. But we hope to make the city flourish under the new council and new prince. You understand?
Interesting. How does that go? How does setting up this little organization fare these last few nights?
How long have you been away from a Camarilla city, my good sir?
Ooh, I've had a walkabout for as long as I can remember, and bear in mind my clan, that could not be a few days or a few decades.
Alright, I forgot I'm talking to McKivion. Well, let me put it this way. There will be a gathering of bloodlines within the Camarilla. There will be choices made and votes cast. And sometimes none of that at all, and people will just know what is expected. And we will go from there.
So you are in the process of determining the leadership of all these bloodlines. That is proper. That is good.
The Archon has left us ample time to deliberate amongst ourselves, let the blood cool after the combat, and with clear heads pick our leadership to lead us into the future. Sensible. And but I think we'll have there'll be many clans represented amongst the different positions outside of the Primogen, I suspect.
Very well. Very well. But are there any elders within this little play area that we consider our section of Perth? Anybody I should defer to, or at least give due credence for?
To remind you, I did introduce. Of course, there's so many new names. It may have been a you might have slipped through. But there is Mr. Antoine Laurent de Rossier, Primogen of our clan, is also an elder of the clan.
Of course.
He nods towards Antoine. But as well as this, the Archon is present. There are a few who will be leaving in the next few days. It is unlikely that as an AH you will be running into them.
Fair enough.
Well, Rafat, could I have a glass of Vitae, please?
Of course. And Rafat will, well, whatever his preference is at this stage, Rafat will get him to alcoholic or non-alcoholic and pour it out.
Lavoisier will pay Rafat the amount that is usual.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, while you're running around, I could do it.
Pardon?
While he's running around, I could also do with it.
Oh, of course.
Might as well get you to have it do in one go rather than have you run back and forth every minute.
And Rafat does so, pouring out a drink for both of them. Oh, let's see. But it is a city of opportunities. There is, of course, some danger. The Anarchs, I do not think, are pleased by losing this jewel, this most prominent settlement on the western coast. It is a little bit difficult, as many of us have experienced in the past. Mounting an expedition with not too many large settlements nearby presents its challenges, but I have no doubt eventually they will return. So we prepare for that, but we enjoy the spoils of war as well.
I've been thinking that we need to get some more eyes on the port. I mean, that's the way we snuck most of our guys in.
You are correct, sir. I mean, the reason why we could launch such an operation is because we could leave quickly enough by port. This way, we could, well, how do you call that word in English? Snipe people out?
I know that I have heard tell that the Trundling Wombats, for one, keep an eye on the area. They haven't spotted anyone, but the ports are large, but they're quite perceptive. I don't think we've had anyone coming through, but yes, it is an area we will have to make sure. And of course, there's the airport, a little bit more dangerous.
And unfortunately, we've just lost the people that had the big interest in the airport, so we're going to find some others.
You say that, and I must, pardon me for interrupting, there are others that were interested in the airport, and now that certain people are gone, those interests can now be expanded upon.
You are referring to you're interested in the airport to slide that away from the Ventru, correct?
I do not know what the Ventru are planning with the airports, or if they're planning anything anymore, but
I think it is wise to wait until the Primogen Council is formed. That way people can represent themselves, and domain can be given out again or be confirmed again.
Don't want to go running around breaking toes.
That's correct. You are correct, Mr. Salvador. It's wiser enough to have a little caution. It doesn't mean it's off the list. It simply means that it needs to be thought over.
this is true.
Because, may I remind you that when the Ventru were 4, they had more men in order to control more places. However, if the one Ventru remaining has his eyes set upon the airport, then it seems only logical that he would proceed to keep the airport as such. However, there is a great chance that he will choose to dive more into the arts, which means that the arts center will be taken, but not the airport, which means it leaves room for shifting of responsibilities.
Yes, Walter.
It appears I wouldn't be interrupting too much, I hope. The question comes up, would there perhaps be a place for a discussion of areas that are not supervised by someone else already?
Oh, there's quite a few spots for that.
Well, it's always something that can be talked about, I guess.
What, or you just wanted now opinion on which are the good ones that if I didn't really like my spot, which would I take?
Yeah, I'm thinking more along the lines that I might have something of value to trade, and since I met someone that I agree with a certain area being promising, and it's perhaps being both our interests to secure it for the future when the city is a bit more full.
Well, what you got that's trade-worthy?
I seem to have a few boons that I might be able to trade off.
Ah, good point.
Some of those are of decent value.
Oh, well, it all depends on who the boons are from. However, like I said, it
I
keeps.
was thinking that unless someone has claimed, since I'm new to the city, unless someone has claimed the South Perth neighborhood looks.
If memory serves, a section of that area, a small section, the Southport Hospital, is claimed by the Ancilla James
Malkavian.
Pierce of the Malkavians.
Oui.
But
But,
I
In
wouldn't
that
want to
case,
be
barring
running around
that
too close to
particular area.
well, like the Archon described to me in the beginning, I believe, it's okay if you want to set your eyes upon the location. It's up to you if you can keep the location once it's assigned to you. But if you can keep the location and it's not conferring to any other people who are already there, I do not see any reason why you should not get a part of that state.
You sure you wouldn't want to go a bit further south and just go for Salter Point or something like that? It's a nice spot.
Oh, I think the location has mutual interest with the other gentleman I have been in talks with for the coterie side.
Ah, well, like I said. So you would like to claim it to form a coterie in it, or to add it to already a coterie ground?
To claim it and to form a coterie within it to keep it secure against any outside threats to
Yeah, but
Norway.
of course you want to secure it against outside threat. It makes perfect sense. Well, it sounds like it can be discussed when the new prince is installed.
Yes, although it's a waterfront area and it's not necessary to report all the boats come in, a couple of speedboats. You could fit a few Anarchs on those if they're trying to rush in. Having another waterfront area kept an eye on by a upcoming coterie, especially one with a Mr. Hannibal struck me as a perceptive gentleman, and of course you no doubt have your own tricks.
I do try and keep an eye on it. And since the question comes, well, I kind of heard a rumor that there might be a most likely candidate for the princedom at this time, anyhow. Provided no great upheavals.
Tell you for trivial. I'm just pulling your leg.
And I guess it should be fair to point out that the boom I was feeling of trading was a major boom from, well, I think a unanimous clan decision, the primogen of the Uja. That
Ah,
might actually be worth something even before a prince get formally recognized.
yes, it could. However, it should be worth something indeed. And I must say, it is. I like your idea with it, because I know you were talking to me. Let's be honest. Yes. Well, like I said, it's up for discussion. It's up for the talking as soon as things are formed and ready and settled. You will be the first one to have a discussion, to claim it if you wish.
Very good, sir. I will be very happy to have that discussion with you.
Yes, I understand. No problem.
Everyone's in the collecting business.
So true.
Because, Mr. Creel, the moment our city grows and more coteries are formed, there is no reason why the city should not be divided into nice parts where everyone can do their thing. And I must say, the location you choose makes me smile. It's closer to my location, I guess, in general, and it provides an extra barrier when the city might try when somebody tries to invade it.
And quite frankly, the small discussion we had, we found, the both of us found the area agreeable and with several points of interest to each of us.
Well, as I said, Mr. Ross, new coteries will form. Ambition, determination get you.
It's like
It's back.
taking all your local neonates and putting them on a play date with a bunch of other neonates and seeing which ones stick.
Unfortunately, not all do. Some exit the city or just shy away from the limelight.
I'll try to make the effort to be picked first, then. In any game. Not last.
Exactly.
Well, I'm sure we can find a reason for you to step into the spotlight and be known, so people know who to pick.
This is true. This is true. Having some recognition other than my clan and the status I currently have would definitely be beneficial. Like I
Well,
said, I'm looking for a peaceful existence,
well,
even if
because
I came to the wrong city for such a thing.
because we are in a growing city. In the beginning, I think status and influence will have to flow naturally, which means since you are now in the beginning, there is much to be gained by neonates and new coteries. There is many things that can be picked up if you ask or go for the right things or the right people.
This is true. I'll have to see if my hand can't advise me on such matters. Being that this is my first nights within the city, the political landscape is still quite foreign to me. It is a dark frontier.
Well,
Oh, I could actually use that line for the reports for the higher ups. Perth, the dark frontier. Fancy it up for them. My guys usually like that type of thing.
Well, Mr. Salvador, if you would like some other flowery language, I'm sure that I can provide it to you. I do have some literary skill to my name.
Yes, unfortunately, I might have to commission something because I'm not much known for my penmanship.
No, I've had many come to me asking for penmanship and the right words for just the right things in order to speak to the right people. Although letters only do so much, if not wielded in the right way.
well, I must refer to you that I've once heard a Ventrue sending a letter, a simple letter, asking for a phone call. A simple letter asking for a phone call in the right hands could have a very large potential, Mr. Roth.
I'll definitely take that under advisement. This is definitely a skill set that I'm now seeing is particularly useful for the city. Perhaps that is going to be my expertise.
All
Writing.
skills are very useful, of course, and perhaps you're not as combatly inclined, but there are others, of course, and it is a good mix of skills which will allow a coterie to rise up.
Oui. A good mix of skills is definitely what we need. We are a growing young city, which means we can use everything and anyone at their fullmost and utmost potential.
It will be the sorry young kindred who come here in a year's time when even those who weren't necessarily here for the battle, those who are here now, can seize the opportunities that later on just won't necessarily be as easily available, at least not without ingratiating themselves to the already established kindred.
'Tis the way of things. Then I am glad to have come here at such a prosperous time. just before all the doors closed.
We shall see.
Well, not everyone is a liberator. However, everyone can be a one that opens doors.
Really?
Of course. It's all about opportunity. Like Mr. Krill, he took the opportunity to talk to me about a domain or the acquiring of domain. He took upon the opportunity to simply ask a question. He got an answer, and we now have only the simple moment of a meeting, ready to proceed in another step towards his enlarged or increased status, his new coterie, and perhaps a new friend. Who knows? Opportunity is what this city will have, even for you, Mr. Roth.
This may in fact be true, but let's take it step by step. How about that?
Well, it's all up to you. Opportunity come and go. One opportunity might not come the next time, but we will see. And you, Mr. McGowan, you are fairly new? When it was the last time you took opportunity?
When I was in New York, I have done lots of deeds for my sire and for Camarilla. I believe they have been in my resume.
Well, of course, I'm not inclined to your resume of yet. But they must not have been great deeds, as it had earned you no status whatsoever.
Yeah, you're right, my elder.
Does not even a fledgling have some status? I'm confused at his having none.
Mr. McGowan has been released for a bit longer than you'd expect for someone to not have gained the status of a neonate. Let's leave it at that. I think that will come in time, I'm sure.
Anybody who's observing Ash Ross actually notices that while he hasn't taken a drink from the glass, he has gone ahead and arranged it so that all the various crystal points are pointing in clockwise directions from himself.
But I'm looking forward to... Obviously, there's a lot of political maneuvering going on at the moment. Some of it here, some of it in other places. But when that's all settled and the court is... things are firmly in place. I'm looking forward to where we go from there.
Well, let's not get too heavy in politics. I do have something that could be a little bit more fun. Who wants to go shotgunning with me? I want to rent out a warehouse. Need some co-people. Get the entire building rather than a spot.
At this time, when you mentioned the need of a building, Walker will kind of arch his eyebrow and kind of glance over at Stoneheart, and then just kind of sit back and continue to listen.
Well, someone's got to be interested in that type of thing. You can do all sorts of things with warehouse these days. Put stuff in them. Take stuff out of them. Start illegal fight clubs. Who knows?
A warehouse, you say? Interesting. Where would be the location of such a thing?
Well, there's quite a few around if you know where to look, especially around the eastern, northern, western, well, essentially anywhere that's not south.
Well, I will tell you this much. Sometimes I come across projects that require a little bit more room than I usually have around my own personal property, so this might be an opportunity for me to go ahead and expand.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm running out of space for storing my production facilities produce, and well, I need a decent spot to put things.
Production.
Well, I'm in industry.
Ah, industry. What kind of industry, I should ask?
Well, me personally, I make things. My controlling major business, we produce materials, specialized materials. Be it
Nice.
large chunks of aluminium for use for the local factories, or especially size chunks of aluminium of titanium for specialized projects. Where are the people that you go to?
Wow. I'm impressed. Me, I am a sort of a craftsman. Sort of got an edge on new technologies, but
Well,
I'm mediocre in such areas at the moment.
might need to bring you down to the workshop, see what you got.
Oh yes, I'd be more than happy to show off my skills there.
Well, that's one of the few reasons why I might invite somebody around my area.
Honored, I'm sure.
You
What's
need
the type-
someone riding shotgun, Mr. Salvador?
Well, I need people going bills in with me when it comes to warehouse business. But as for my area, I kind of like the fact that all you guys go south. No offense to all of you, but I like being away from the hustle and bustle.
As I remember, you go east, no?
Well, I'm over in Belmont.
Hmm. Well, the biggest university of Perth is only in one place.
But yeah, it's not a bad place to be. You've got all the main industry bits for the inner city, well, kind of area around there, which is what I like to work with. You got nice little chunks of land, and it's well connected. Though, if anyone is starting to get any ideas, there's some other places down south which you
I don't know. You're really starting to intrigue me. I might have to. Oh. I could
There's
really do
Belmont,
with turning you into an enemy
the
by
place
trying to
people
oust you
would
from
be?
your own domain. I'm not really interested right now, but I might get bored of a weekend sometime. Try my hand.
The
And
dog
I'm
one, was it?
confused, Mr. Salvador. For the start of it, it sounded like you were seeking someone to help you. Now it seems like you're fishing for someone to try and walk into your domain.
Oh, please, God, don't do that. What I'm looking for is for someone, some people that like a nice little silent spot. I know there's a decent few going down in Cudale that aren't bad on the rent front. Rent nice.
Walker nods in agreement at the mention of Qdale.
Hmm.
I am going to make a perception check to see if I can see the ghoul nod. Because I'm keeping my eye on those bastards.
I like the way the dice actually appeared there on my screen. I don't know if you guys. The dice appeared either side of the head, and the last one filled in on the head. I was like, "No, I am Tremere. You will see my face." That's on damn you.
That was. Stoneheart would not have laughed there, but I couldn't help myself.
Either way, Creed, you sounded like you're Creel. You sounded like you were interested.
No. It just seemed for too moment to go for that traditional question of mine.
Oh, yeah, what's in it for me? Well, you'll be renting a nice spot in a secured warehouse with a bunch of other vampires, so you damn well know it's going to be pretty tight.
I think I'll prefer looking to the south of Perth if there might be some areas.
I hate to comment, run, gentlemen, but I have some things that I must take care of tonight, as well as I need to help the ghoul learn more about the ways of things. Rafat, if you would help me with this,
Yes,
you will be leading.
well, he just puts a hand on the man's shoulder. Well, you're not going to remember any of this, not until the next time you're in here with Mr. Taylor. Otherwise, you won't remember any of us or anything that went on here. But that'll just take a few minutes. Don't be afraid, it won't hurt. And Rafaz's going to pretty much do just that, manipulation, leadership, to make him be forgetting all this wonderful, wonderful information he just heard.
If you're using
With
dominate
subterfuge.
3, it's subterfuge.
Hmm?
Dominate 3 is with subterfuge.
Ah, yes it is.
Yes, it is.
Alright. I'm going to spend a willpower point because I want to make sure this works out well. What is the... You can PM me on Facebook if you want. What's his current willpower?
I can tell you, hang on, I've got mine.
Yeah.
Just give me 2
Cool.
seconds. Oops, I did. I went to the picking it through the... my current willpower... If I didn't blow one, I almost had to blow one when they were making fun of the Bruja. It's currently 8.
8. Okay, so spending willpower point as I said. Yeah. You won't remember any of this when you come back in here with Mr. Taylor. You don't remember anything past you going inside the door, and you'll just have, basically, you won't remember anything from before I open the door until I have the door closed just now. Rafat
Like I
closes the
said.
door.
Like I said, Jason, next time you need to hand me a notebook.
No, that wouldn't be correct. But-
Which Rafat then closing the door, safe and secure the
Well,
knowledge
at least
that
you
girl
could
does not know who
take
the hell he is.
Yeah, at least I could take notes. You could take it, put it in your briefcase, and give it to me the next time I come in. That's true. I could be ghoulish. I could be bookish. I don't mind being bookish.
Well, I'm sorry, gentlemen, but I can hear a small child in the background that I need to go see about. Which is why I'm leaving. But everyone have a nice and safe date today.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
And I am off to play with the changelings in the other game. I will see you later.
Good luck.
Keep it in character.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'll get up and I will walk off and wander out, and I get into my car and I ride away.
Okay.
So,
Rest assured, if he has a bit of a blank and confused look on his face next time he sees you, it's completely normal. I don't want him knowing any of my patrons' faces, or my own for that matter.
not bad way to go. I've already seen that guy when he was getting recruited. My God, what is Stoneheart whipping that boy with?
Well, Stoneheart, I think he wants to take things seriously. Maybe he's looking in for future gains.
Mm-hmm. Well, Asher, if you're interested in, you got a card or something for yourself?
Well, Asher will just go ahead and produce a blank piece of paper and a pen, write down a number that isn't exactly his, but will go to him, hands it over. That is a number to call to get in touch with me.
Good. Well, I'll give you a call and we can organise, if we're going to go through with it or not.
Eric Salvador can feel prying eyes on the part of paper. He just slid over the table. I will look at it, the paper, and then remember what I've just seen, not actually ask for the paper myself.
The power of
Yeah.
endemic memory, boy.
I didn't specify I placed it upside down. Shit.
Trust me, not the worst mistake made here today.
Yep. Mr. McCormick, is that right? McColwyn? Charles.
McGowan.
McGowan. I am interested in speaking to you more, actually. You've been in the city for a little bit longer than me, not as long as the others gathered here, but perhaps sometime I would like to get your perspective on things as a newcomer into the city.
I'm honored. And he also gives his card upside down. And after Ashura takes it, that he also goes near Marcus Creel. I am also interested in speaking with you. And he gives his card.
Thank you very much. It will be very interesting to hear you speak.
Mr. Creel this time also feels that eyes go on the paper he just given, because he also did not state that this time he would give it
He did actually.
upside down. No, the first time he said upside down, the second time he didn't.
Yeah, I didn't say it at the same time. I forget it.
Oh well.
Yep.
It's so difficult to be paranoid in these games.
And Charles then sits down behind Eric.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much. It has been a revealing situation once again.
Oh, gentlemen, it's always good to have you around. Have a bit of a chat and let us all catch up on the affairs of the city. Unfortunately, we can't exactly start circulating a newspaper, and it's good to catch up.
Perhaps a different position within this illustrious Camarilla would lend itself to me. Perhaps a harpy? It is something to wish for.
What is the old saying?
I have a lot of people interested in that.
What is the saying? Harpies make themselves. They're confirmed by the prince.
Mr. Asher, if you have interests in making up for a new kind of status or a title or a combination of those, I suggest you start mingling with more people to get the harpy position. However, if the 2 harpy positions are already taken, may I suggest that you could also go for a siren, which is a title not many times used, but it's a cloaked title for a lesser harpy, which still gives you the opportunity to grow and observe, as well as do what you think is your skill set.
Fantastic. You are filled with fantastic advice this night.
Yes, it comes with age. Anyway, gentlemen, a good evening, and may you all prosper in our lovely city. Au revoir.
In fact, we'll check using all specs. Check store first. Look out, and then he'll open the door for Mr. de la Vossier. Allow him to leave.
Losier will leave and gets picked up by a car and then drives off.
It's getting towards that time of night again. Unfortunately, we can't lounge around here all night, gentlemen.
Yeah,
There's
I
so
think
much to be done.
there were a few people wanted to go give a kicking too. It's about the time of night where they usually pop out, so might be able to catch them on the walk back home.
Yes, of course. Well, I look forward to seeing you all again soon. I think that's a good point to leave it. I'm sure we all have plenty to do. And that will check outside once more, and then start letting them go outside when they can acquire their weapons outside once more and head off into the night.
Asherah, for his part, is finally going to take that sip of vitae that was offered to him very beginning, sit it down again gently in the very, very particular manner, put back on his trench coat and his scarf, and proceed to leave with the congregation.
Once